Earlier this week, I, along with other aldermen and the mayor, had the opportunity to tour the Crestwood Crossing construction site. There were several members of the Dierbergs real estate organization who provided us with a briefing on the timeline and some of the other changes they've made along the way. They are working towards a grand opening date for this spring for the main store, hopefully by Easter. The other buildings and the retail spaces will open later in the year, and they're working hard to sign local businesses as much as possible, including several restaurants. It sounds like several of the retail tenant locations are in the final leasing stages, and some of the spaces are still available. After the overview, we put on our safety gear and took a ride to the construction site. The two outbuildings were originally not part of the Phase 1 construction plans, but Dierbergs learned at their Lake St. Louis store that it made more sense to construct those buildings earlier to minimize disruption for customers. Those spaces will likely be filled after the main building spaces are mostly occupied. The main entrance to the store is still being worked on, so we entered the building through the employee office entrance. And walked into the store over by the frozen food area. The floors, walls, and ceilings are mostly completed, so the emphasis now is mostly on placing the chilled food containers and the other permanent fixtures around the store. Similar to our Schnuck store, shoppers will first navigate through the produce area, then the bakery and deli, seafood and meats, and of course, Bob's Barn for beer, wine, and liquor. The layout of our Dierbergs is identical to their other newest store in Lake St. Louis. There will even be a big area just for frozen pizza, and they'll also have a Mercy Pharmacy on site. As they indicated earlier, the two side buildings that are attached to the Dierbergs will be completed after the grand opening, so there's still lots of work to be done there. After the tour of the buildings, we went for a drive around the property. Here we are driving past the western side of the main building and approaching one of the primary entrances to the site, which is the traffic signal at Watson and Old Sappington. You might remember how hilly this property is, so you'll notice that they've invested in lots of retaining walls all over the site. And actually they look pretty good, a lot better than the old concrete retaining walls from the mall. The western portion, where Famous Bar used to be, is being leveled and prepped for the Phase 2 elements. Here there will be two restaurants, or maybe one large restaurant, with outdoor green space areas like a plaza, seating, and a large fountain or some type of water feature. It's going to be a really nice gathering space for Crestwood. We then went behind the store, driving down the street, which will now be named Woolworth Drive, back over to the McBride home portion of the property. All of the streets have been poured and the utility infrastructure is in place. I expect McBride will start building homes back here pretty soon. To keep with the old mall theme, along with Woolworth Drive, the other streets will be named Vandervoort Court and Exilorama Court. All three streets are named after former Crestwood Plaza or Crestwood Mall businesses. The final portion of the property and of the redevelopment project will be those sites along Watson where the old bank, the Music City, and the remaining old Firestone building are located. That Firestone building will be removed and a service road will be installed connecting those new retail businesses between the two existing traffic signals on Watson. But this is the last phase to be completed, and so it really won't be done for several more years. The entire tour took a couple hours, and I think everybody involved was pretty excited to see the progress that's being made at this site. You know, the old mall served as the heart of Crestwood for decades, and it was really painful to see it go away. But this next chapter for the site is going to be exciting, and I think will fill that void that our city's had for too long. I'll be back for the grand opening, and I look forward to continued progress after that. Maybe I'll see you there.